Imagine a future where you're not carrying cash anymore.
Imagine a system in which individuals walking down the street can transfer money merely by bumping phones to each other and do so without the prohibitive transaction costs and financial add-ons that currently exist in the marketplace.
It will be a full rewrite of the way financial transactions work.
Truly rewriting the experience that customers are having with banks. The great rewrite within financial services is happening as a result of a confluence of two different forces. The different expectations from consumers around the customer experience. That, when combined with the incredibly increasing pace of technological change, are necessary for the incredible innovation that is occurring. Those two forces combining to allow companies to start rewriting what we have come to know as to be expected and changing everything.
If you go back to that power pyramid, the financial sector was the embodiment of this very top-down approach, and capital was controlled by very small amounts of organizations globally. I think you are seeing that completely get unbuttoned. All of the things that were very costly and not available to the average person are now being opened wide up. To the credit of the banking sector, the financial markets have been really smart about engaging in this world.
The energy and focus that we see emerging from the startups and the other fintech technology-based firms is incredible.
I'm Brett King, the CEO and founder of Movin. The Movin was designed sort of like a Fitbit for your wallet, the world's first downloadable mobile bank account. You can see your balance at the top, and you can see how much I've spent so far this month. And the app will turn green if you're spending below your typical spending, or it'll turn a bright red if you're spending above. Just by glancing at the app, you get a feel for whether your spending's starting to get out of control. The birth of that idea was, how's a millennial going to get access to banking? What the internet has taught us is we can have access to information, whenever we need it. Bank says, oh, no, I'm sorry, you can't do that. You have to come down the branch and sign a piece of paper. A millennial's like, what are you talking about? What do you mean?
Well, the leading edge banks, the more thoughtful banks, are absolutely going to embrace and incorporate new innovative thinking into their offerings, be it to retail customers or, most importantly, to commercial customers.
We now know that an entire generation of kids trust an algorithm more than they trust a human being to manage their money.
Movin is changing the way people will think about their bank account. Cash and plastic are essentially dumb, whereas electronic payments are getting smarter every day.
We've seen some very rapid changes already in an industry that's not known for wholesale change. So customers are genuinely receiving much better service today as a result of these technological innovations.
My name is Charlie Cooper. I'm a managing director at a company called R3, which has brought together a consortium of 75 global financial institutions to build next-generation software based on distributed ledger or blockchain technology. So a blockchain is a decentralized database that is operated by many different parties that come to shared consensus, and the chain itself is updated in blocks. Rather than being updated transaction by transaction, the ledger itself is updated in groups of transactions.
Using the blockchain as a system of automated ledgering, you can have a healthier, better auditable environment.
We see blockchain as a hugely relevant technology, ultimately changing and rewriting the financial services industry as we know it.
Banks spend in aggregate well over $100 billion a year on technologies that could be replaced by distributed ledger technology, and is hurting things like credit that can be extended to small businesses or the ability to make loans to consumers. What we're doing is literally rewriting the way in which large institutions manage their clients' money. If you allow the banks to do their jobs more efficiently and cheaper, they can then pass on those costs to their retail consumers. If we're right, and we believe we are, this technology could revolutionize financial services in the same way the internet revolutionized media and entertainment.
There is a new digital currency being tested in Toronto.
My name is Lawrence Cook, and we'd like to replace cash with digital cash. NanoPay has a transaction platform that moves value from one entity to another in real time without an intermediary. We reduce the risk, the speed, and the cost of a transaction. Most transaction systems, they do a transaction up front, and then later on there's a settlement process, which actually moves the money. And in our environment, you don't need to do that anymore. You open the app and you scan a QR code, or you tap it against an NFC terminal, and the transaction's done. We're taking a cash note and we're just encrypting it and digitizing it and moving that digital asset from one person to another.
Introducing Mint Chip.
The Mint Chip is the core technology and the consumer brand of our platform.
So we're gonna pay with this using Mint Chip.
Okay, total's gonna be $10.50.
I've got my consumer app open. Todd's generated the QR code, which I'm now gonna scan by pressing Pay Merchant. It opens up my camera. I hover it over the QR code, and right away, I confirm with my Touch ID that it's in fact me putting through the payment, and that's it.
The advantage of real-time transaction, there's no risk of the transaction not happening or being reversed.
We are in an environment now where the rise of new forms of currency is going to be a very, very big part of the next decade.
So much of the focus that we've seen emerging has been primarily focused on enhancing the retail customer experience, making things a lot easier. Some of the innovation is actually not that obvious to the public. Some of the innovation is happening in the bowels of the organization, in the plumbing. But that is important too, because at the end of the day, better, faster, cheaper is really critical that we solve that problem too, because the cost burden and the cost infrastructure of traditional banks is not sustainable.
In 2008, when the large investment banks saw their brethren go bankrupt, which was the unthinkable, it was the perfect storm. And I think the decision they made was, we are going to invest in the future. We are going to invest in these companies that are rewriting the planet.
The recession hit, and most companies were in protection mode, getting through the crisis, and then in the immediate aftermath of the crisis, dealing with the massive regulatory and legislative wave that has engulfed most of the industry. So some external catalyst or change is necessary. And what we see as a great benefit to the industry is the incredible innovation that has been taking place. And so the emergence of this incredible technological initiative and disruption, whilst initially seen as a threat to some of the traditional financial services firms, is starting to slowly be seen as yet an incredible sort of benefit to the industry. It's a great catalyst for moving their organizations toward business models that are much more relevant to the customer of today.